Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is the next episode in Qur'anic Reflections of Layman. Today I want to share some very brief thoughts about one of my most favorite verses in Surah Ar-Ra'd, which is chapter 13 of the Quran, verse 17. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this verse, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أنزل من السماء ماء فسالت أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبدا رابيا ومما يوقدون عليه في النار ابتغاء حلية أو متاع زبد مثله كذلك يضرب الله الحق والباطل فأما الزبد فيذهب جفاء وأما ما ينفع الناس فيمكث في الأرض كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال صدق الله العظيم. This is an incredibly beautiful imagery that Allah draws in this verse. Allah starts by talking about the water that is sent down from the skies, and it ends up in all of these valleys. And of course, you have valleys of various sizes, and Allah says that these valleys capture water depending on their size and their capacity. And this water eventually flows and it creates this foam, this zabd. And the foam slowly goes away, right? And what you're left with is clear water. And Allah compares this incredibly vivid imagery with the world that we live in, right? Sometimes looking at the times that we live in, it seems like there's a lot of foam, there's a lot of scum floating around. And it feels like Haqq and Bātil are getting intermixed. But Allah is saying actually, Bātil is like zabd. It's like foam. It just scum, just goes away. وَمَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Whatever is beneficial for human beings, that is permanent and it stays. And I think we can take some incredible lessons from this beautiful verse, which I encourage all of you to read, is number one, that by using the valleys, فَسَالَتْ أَوْدِيَةٌ بِقَدَرِهَا. Allah is basically saying that Allah is fayyad ala al-itlaq, right? He is constantly giving to people. It is our capacity that determines how much of that grace, how much of that mercy, compassion that we can retain. So Allah is saying, I shower everybody with mercy, with grace, with rizq. But it's your capacity that determines how much of it you can retain. And Allah is using these valleys that retain different amounts of water based on their capacity as a similitude, I think, for that. The next thing I think that we can learn, probably the most central lesson of this verse, is that Bātil is short-lived, while Haqq is everlasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in Surah Al-Isra, for example, قُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقِّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Right? Bātil is something that is like darkness. Darkness doesn't have any existence. And this is a profound metaphysical point, of course, but darkness cannot fight light. Right? If you have light, darkness cannot exist. When you shine light on a dark place, the darkness disappears. So Bātil, Allah is saying, and this is a profound metaphysical point as well, that Bātil is short-lived. Whereas what is truly real, what is truly Haqq, will remain forever. Because this similitude of water, being in the valleys and creating this foam, Allah is comparing the foam and the water to Haqq and Bātil, or Bātil and Haqq. So Bātil is like foam, it will get skimmed away, but the Haqq will stay, the water will stay. مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ will stay. And this is another important ishara that Allah is saying that Allah will always, depending, regardless of time or place, regardless of how wretched human beings become, whatever is beneficial for human beings, مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ will always stay. مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ يَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. It is up to us whether we want to choose the zabd or مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ. This is a profound verse, and it has very deep metaphysical points that I don't want to get into, but clearly it tells us, it comforts us, saying that Even though the world may appear to be full of scum and foam, and there's a lot of chaos, a lot of Bātil, a lot of corruption, ultimately Haqq will prevail, because this is Allah's sunnah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Please leave your comments and suggestions and criticisms. Inshallah, I'll talk to you next week.